what makes the people who are like myself different from those who are using various tactics to do what they're doing in terms of various political activities? Well, the first thing that you need to know is that this is not something that's limited to one side of the aisle or the other. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's not necessarily a leftist or a rightist thing, though it does tend to occur more on the left than on the right. I just wanted to welcome you this morning to the Daily Summation. That's where you are at the moment, in case you were wondering, the Daily Summation podcast and video, and it is put on by Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am Kurt. I am your host. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of November of 2020, and I'm glad to have you aboard. Obviously, thank you for those of you who are checking me out on Rumble, who are looking at me on, or listening to me on the podcast, and who are looking at me also on YouTube. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, as I think pretty much everybody has figured out by this point, it being, like I say, the 25th of November. I wanted to point out that my podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, and on Spotify. And I wanted to talk this morning about a subject of a blog that I'm in the process of writing, and the title of the blog is The Distinction. That's what it's about. Okay? And I wanted to say that there are people out there who are willing to use various tactics to accomplish a numerous amount, different kinds of ends, and they're doing things that are disingenuous, that are wrong, that they shouldn't be doing in order to accomplish that. Here's the thing. There is a tendency on the folks who want to do right to want to take the high road, and I get it. Okay, I want you to take the high road. If you ask me, I want you to take the high road. Obviously, the point is that shouldn't be something that you should be asking me about. It should be something that you're just doing, right? But the point is, if you're asking somebody like me, I do want you to take the high road. I want you to act as a person of character. But here's what I don't want you to do. If you actually have a claim of some sort, and that claim is valid and legitimate, even if you question whether or not it's going to, make its way through whatever mechanism is in place to deal with that claim, I want you to take action, okay? And I don't want you to be cowed by the fact that other people are doing the wrong thing and telling you that they will do more of the wrong thing if you do the right thing. When somebody says to you, well, if you censure so-and-so for their behavior, and you decide that you're not going to censure, or if you do so, we're going to, make noise about somebody else who really hasn't done anything that is equivalent in nature, and we're going to potentially censure that person just as getting a way of getting back at you, right? My answer to that is that other person is being unprincipled and unscrupulous, and you are not. And it doesn't matter that they're saying that they're going to attack you in unprincipled and unscrupulous ways. What you must do is take the action you believe is appropriate based on the things that you have discovered, the conclusions that you've come to, right? That's what you have to do. So that's very important, is to realize, look, whatever you may think, the fact that they're attacking you in unreasonable ways doesn't mean that you stop doing things that are reasonable that still should be occurring, even though you don't want to do them. And it doesn't mean that you're not taking the high road if you decide that what you're going to do is deal with people in ways that are reasonable. If you find that a person is embezzling, right, or if you find that a person is misusing their power in some way, or if you find that a person is taking kickbacks, or you find that, whatever it happens to be, you have to take action. And it doesn't matter at all whether or not people are then saying, well, we're going to take action against you or against somebody else as a result of this. And you have to present somewhat a united front on that as well. You have to get together with whatever colleagues you have, and you have to say, look, we have to take action in this sort of scenario, as much as it hurts us to do that. And I recognize that there's this argument for hanging on, right? If we just leave this alone, nobody will touch us. But the point is, if you leave that alone, you won't be doing anything meaningful while you're there either. Okay? The problem is you cannot just leave things alone. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, I have kids. I get the deal. You have to pick your battles. In fact, I have a moderately autistic kid. You think you have to pick your battles for normal kids or for political situations or whatever. I promise you that you have to do it in the kind of situations that I confront on a pretty much daily basis, right? So I'm not sitting here and trying to tell you, oh, you don't have to pick your battles. You shouldn't ignore things that are little unimportant things. But that doesn't mean that you allow yourself to be cowed by the idea that other people are going to take retaliatory actions as a result of the fact that you did things that you should have done. That's not how that works, right? What you have to do is you have to take appropriate action for whatever has occurred. And the thing is, the more you're willing to do that with big things, the more normalized that sort of behavior becomes, the better you're always going to be able to do appropriate things with smaller things. And of course, the point is that you need to do things in proper measure, right? You need to say, okay, well, this person is embezzling and they're hundreds of thousands of dollars into an embezzlement scheme, or this person is abusing their power and they're locking down huge swaths of their little area because they know that they can, and that's not reasonable, or whatever it happens to be. If it's really heavy, really onerous, you must take action, and your failure to do so is a bad thing. So if you've got somebody who's an anti-Semite and they're spouting anti-Semitic garbage all over the place, right? And by the way, that's true if they're anti-Arab, if they're anti-Muslim, if they're not expressing things that are ideological that actually apply to that given group, that are really true. If they're not expressing those and expressing problems with them, if they're spouting stuff that's against those individuals, that's untrue or at least questionably true, then probably you need to deal with that. As little as you want to do it, you need to. I don't care if they're anti-Muslim, anti-Christian, anti-Jewish. I don't care. I don't care what they are. I don't care if they're calling everybody on the right bad and evil or everybody on the left bad and evil. And saying things about people that are untrue and trying to smear those individuals. You must take action as a result. And look, I know people on the right many people have met with political ends and potentially imprisonment and various other things as a result of the fact that they acted uprightly, that they acted in good character, okay? But you just have to be willing to take that bullet if that's what has to happen, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to slide farther and farther into a realm of zero accountability. And like I say, you can stay there all you want. You can be the last man standing all you want. But if what you're doing is not meaningful, if it's not useful, if it's not worthwhile, hey, guess what? It really doesn't matter that you're the last man standing in the arena. You'd be better off letting somebody else come in and take over and deal with that thing. So this is what you need to do. And we have to constantly be on guard for this stuff. We cannot allow... I mean, every once in a while, something's going to slip through and we're not going to see it or whatever. I get that. That's going to happen, right? I get, too, that there are going to be people who are going to at least twist what's going on and in many instances straight out lie about what's going on in order to try and make people look bad. And the answer is you need to make sure that when you do investigations or whatever it is that you happen to do, when you take action of whatever sort, you lay the facts bare so that everybody's able to see. And I know, the media and all of those talking heads and so forth, myself included, we're going to get it wrong. One thing that I disagree with Mr. Ben Shapiro on is, look, somebody says something is true and it's something that needs to go to court. No, they don't need to tell you anything at all if you're a member of the media or some sort of talking head. They don't need to do that. That's not how that works. Okay. I need to wrap up, so I'm going to go ahead and do exactly that. Just remember, the point is, if you let the standards slip, they will continue to do so. You have to hold the line. This is the point. Okay, again, today is Wednesday, the 25th of November of 2020. That means tomorrow will be Thursday, the 26th of November of 2020, and it will be Thanksgiving Day. And hopefully we'll see you again then. It's just going to depend on how things work out. I think probably I should be able to get in another Daily Summation video. Remember again that you can catch me on YouTube, on Rumble, and on my podcast. And the podcast can be found on my podcast site, but it can also be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Thanks again for tuning in, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Wednesday, the 25th of November, 2020. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for checking out this video. Remember that you can like it on YouTube and you can give it a rumble on Rumble if you want to do that. I have channels on both YouTube and Rumble. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels. You can subscribe to either one of those if you want to do so. Remember, if you subscribe on YouTube, you probably want to click the notification bell in order to be notified of new content. If you want to see more from me, you can check me out on my blog. That's blogs.kpschubert.com, blogs.kpschubert.com. You can also see my Facebook page. That is Kurt's Religion and Politics on Facebook. You can check out my Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com accounts. My handle on all three of those is at kpschubert. That's at kpschubert. You can check out my podcast. The podcast is at podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcast.kpschubert.com. And finally, you can check me out on Patreon. And if you want to support me, that's probably one of the better places that you can do that. I am Kurt's Religion and Politics there. Thanks again for checking out this video, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.